it's me, Zara, and today is our first PARiTY podcast.
Choo-hoo.
It's also Aloha Friday, no school till Monday. A-doo-ba-doo. That's it, pretty much. And so today's podcast is featuring our friend, CJ.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yes. So CJ here is a fellow musician. Also, Sam Rex here.
I'm here in the background doing some good work, so
Yeah.
you'll hear me from time to time.
Yeah.
You don't see him, we see him.
Yeah.
We know he's here. We know he's here.
And so, yes, as I was saying, CJ is a fellow musician. He is a bass player for the band Rhiana And The Texans.
Every single time that I try to do what my heart wants, it just gets torn in two. Every single time I thought I found love, it just turned out to be the wrong one. Every single time that I try to do what my heart wants, it just gets torn in two. Every single time I thought I found love, it just turned out to be the wrong one.
That was our single. It's already on Spotify, guys. Feel free to go check it out. Rhiana And The Texans on Spotify. That was an acoustic version with just our lead singer. But yeah, the full band's got the version on Spotify and all around town. If you're in the Honolulu, Oahu area, we'll be around. You'll see it. It seems to be a crowd pleaser. It's the one people sing along to. Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This is my first PARiTY podcast too.
I know, I'm
It's
so
everybody's
excited you're
first.
here. Yeah.
Nice.
So a little fun fact, Zara also plays like instruments. She was in a band, or
Yeah.
she went to band camp when she was younger.
Yeah, when
She went to band camp.
Yeah, when we watched, we did a reaction to American Pie band camp.
Oh,
I
nice.
spoiled at the end. I was like, yeah, I actually played an instrument growing up as in a.
What did you play
I
anyway?
played percussion.
Did you really?
I did.
Like
Like
what?
orchestra and
Oh,
drumline.
wow.
So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like the big bass drum, or did you
That
have
was
like the
a
timpani
E-flat
set?
bass drum.
Oh, E flat bass
Yes,
drum.
E flat. That's right.
Ooh, that's low. That's low. E flat. Low. Nice.
So it was an all-girl bass drum line, or like in a sense.
Okay.
Majority of us were all female, like girls. So it was pretty cool.
Very nice. I did not know that about you guys. No.
No, yeah.
Sam, you play instruments too?
No, I do not.
Not even the kazoo?
I used to play video games. And then
He plays the kazoo only on birthdays.
or I could play the tambourine if needed,
Yeah.
right?
The
Cowbell.
triangle.
More
You could always use
cowbell.
somebody with a triangle, huh?
Or the cowbell. Cowbell is, yeah. All right, so CJ, if you could please introduce yourself to us. a little
Yeah. Like I said, my name's CJ. I've known these guys for a while. I've known them for about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoying the life out here. I been playing music with these guys for a while. Been playing music for a long time actually. It's just something I do. It's pretty fun. It's getting relatively serious. It seems like we got a lot of things we're working on, which we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah. How did I come here? I think you were asking. I have a friend that I've known for 16 years or so. One of my best friends that moved out here a while back, some years ago, and asked me if I wanted to. I'm originally from Southeast Texas, right?
Nice.
So is this friend of mine. I've lived in a bunch of different places around the world, but I was most recently living in Australia. And then as my visa was ending, it was basically like, look, you have a choice. You can either become a citizen or get out of our country. And I was like, well, this is tough. I don't know what to do. And then one of my friends called and said, hey, I'm working on some projects out in Hawaii. Would you like to help me? And I said, certainly. So I came out, and I've been working on that ever since, right? So, yeah. So that's that.
Nice. Oh my gosh. I know. How did you get interested in music?
Music. So I was always a fan, I think. Like growing up, so my parents, I credit them a lot. They had great music taste when I was like, and neither of them play instruments either. As a matter of fact, my dad, we bought him a guitar for Christmas one year. I think he played it like once. He's got fat fingers, so like he just never really picked it up. My mom, one time, me and my dad and my brother pitched in and got my mom a piano for Christmas because she wanted to play.
Like a grand piano?
No, like
okay.
it was like a full 88 key like keyboard, like electronic keyboard.
Yeah.
And it was pretty expensive too. And then like a year later, I visited my parents again and saw that it was still in the box. Like she never even took it out. So I think they had like great musical taste growing up. I think they wanted to play instruments. I just never had the patience for it, I guess. But I mean, they had great musical taste growing up, and so I think I was always kind of into that. Growing up, like just around the house, there was always a stereo playing music and stuff like this. Was back in the day when there was like still cassette tapes and CDs and stuff too. So then we had a whole. I remember there was a tower of like all their CD collection all over the house, and so yeah, some greats back then.
Were you that person in school that would have like a Walkman playing or like a CD like?
Whenever they were available, yeah. Because I remember having the what was it, the Walkman before the anti-skip or whatever. So you just had to have this thing sitting on a table, and like if the wind blew, it like skips. You know what I mean?
It, yeah.
No.
Like you couldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then the anti-skip came out, and I was like, this is the craziest thing. I can actually walk, not too fast, but you could walk and still listen to it. So I used to steal my parents' CDs and bring them to school and stuff like that. So yeah.
Did you ever enroll in like band class or music class?
I didn't actually. I did not. Everything I do and know now, I basically just learned from like books or eventually the internet or whatever, or just playing around with friends. And like it's pretty clear whenever you're playing with other people what doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
It's obvious. You're like, well, I guess I'm not doing that anymore, so let's figure something else out, right? But yeah, mostly just books and sitting in my room and just, you know, especially when you're a teenager, you got a lot of time to sit in your room and not do anything. So I was just playing music or whatever, you know what I mean? Or learning slowly, I think. So.
Do you have any favorite musicians at the moment?
I always do. I think it's funny. Growing up, I never had a favorite anything. I was like, these are like the top 5 or whatever. But I will say, like, I probably have a favorite artist of all time. I think would be Van Morrison, overall. And then I have like a favorite guitar player too, which that would be Stevie Ray Vaughan. I think. I have a favorite bass player too. A couple of those. Victor Wooten, I think, would probably be. I think most people that played bass would agree that he's like, he's up there. He's top tier. Him and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was like one of my original favorites. As a matter of fact, like his bass is actually, I play very similar to the guitar. I play a very similar one to the one that I saw him playing growing up. But when I was a teenager, I could never afford it. I probably still can't, but I have one right now. So, yeah. So that would be, yeah. I guess those would be my favorite musicians at the moment. But there's always things change. Like every now and then, I'm listening to like one thing for like a month and a half straight, and then one day I'm like, let's change it up. You
just have like a phase.
Yeah, and then I go and then I come back to it later or whatever. Yeah. Like I try not to. I don't know, if you listen to anything too long over and over, I feel like I won't like it anymore.
I get that way.
I can't.
I have a favorite artist and I'm like listening.
Yeah, who's yours?
I just all over. Like,
yeah.
She listens to a lot of K-pop right now.
K-pop, all right, right on. Yeah.
But I would have like my, how you say, like, I don't know, like I really liked a rock band. It was like a pop rock band. It was like 5 Seconds of Summer, like going.
Do you remember like 4 years ago? I think BTS came here, or one of those big K-pop bands.
I know they did.
Because this is back when I was still like, of course, Zara and Samrak remember that I used to rent like mopeds and motorcycles here in town.
Oh my god.
And
that shirt.
Yeah.
Actually, that's where the shirt came from. Shout out. I forgot I was wearing that. Still got some old shirts. But there was one time wherever these guys came over, and it was like a bunch of like really well dressed Korean dudes. They're all very young, and I was like, "What's going on?" Because there's like crowds of people. Like, "Hey, has so and so come by?" And I was like, "I don't know who you're talking about." But these guys came over and they rented a couple mopeds. And then they said, you know, do you want to come to our show tonight? And asked where you were playing. And they said Republic. And I was like, Republic? That's you guys must be pretty big. They're like, yeah, we're doing okay. And then small talk, they got out really quick and just left on the mopeds. And I was like, that's crazy. And the guy gave me a ticket, and he said I could bring a +1. They'd give me some free drinks and stuff. Like, or he gave me his card or something like that. So just asked for him. And I was like, well, whatever. So I looked him up, and I was like, why do all these videos have like 96 million views? I was like, this is crazy. And I didn't go to the show because I didn't know who they were. I was like, whatever, they're not really my cup of tea. But then I thought after, I was like, dude, this is like probably the biggest movement in music since the Beatles. Like the hysteria is real. I should have just gone just to see what was going on, but I think it was like a Tuesday night or something, and I was like, I got stuff to do tomorrow. Like I'm not going staying out late at like a rowdy concert. But now I look at it like, what?
Yeah.
This is
Could have been BTS. Yeah.
It could have been. Yeah.
It might have been whoever it was. I think it must have been because they had just gotten back from the Philippines and they did 2 nights in Manila and they sold out the first one, and so added an impromptu show the next day and sold it out as well. And then they came here.
I think BTS does that even like the Coliseum in LA. Like at the venue in New York and stuff, they do that. They'll like have a show the next day and it just sells out right away. Yeah.
Whenever you're big like that and you can like you schedule shows, but then if there's still people trying to buy it, you're like, well, we can do another one.
Because I remember there's also another artist that I saw, but I had a sister who dragged.
I remember your sister, Alex.
Yeah. So they dragged. What do you call it? It was like for this band called Laney. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
It was the lead singer Paul, and he rented one of the mopeds.
Right. I remember you and your sister were like waiting around, like, where is he? Is he here?
It wasn't me. It was my sister. My sister was. Like,
I think you were there too, Zara.
Yeah, I was. My sister was like she grew up. Like, how do you say? She listened to their music a lot. Like she was like a big fan of them, and I was just like for the ride kind of sense. But
right.
But I was like flabbergasted. I was like, they really would come to like some moped like rental place of all places.
They had like their IG stories like blowing up, them cruising around on 2 wheels, and
I know.
I bet.
And I was like, nice. This is
I know.
This is pretty funny.
I was like, I couldn't even believe it.
Yeah.
I think my sister literally approached you and she's like, hey, do you remember him being here?
Yeah. I remember that. And I was thinking, I was like, I don't know what was going on. Who is this guy? And all the girls were like, oh my God, I can't believe you spoke to him. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, he didn't have the same effect on me. No, I was like, yeah, he seemed pretty cool. Yeah, I like that guy. Why?
Cool cat.
Yeah, cool cat. What's going on with him? Yeah.
That's crazy. You mean?
Yeah, I met some weird. Actually, another cool one I met back then too. I don't know if you guys know who it is. There's a guy named Gary Clark Jr. He's also one of my favorite artists at the moment as well too. But he's from Austin, and they play in Austin all the time. It's like blues rock and roll, super cool. Anybody listening, if you like blues rock, check out Gary Clark Jr. for sure.
Clark Jr.
He this guy came to rent a motorcycle one time, or a moped, and he actually came with my boss from one of the other locations on the back of the same like scooter. Like they rode here together. And he's like, oh, my boss tells me he ran out of whatever this guy needs at the other location, so to come to this location. So I was like, this guy looks kind of familiar. I can't figure out where I know him from, but I noticed his ID is a Texas ID, and I was like, this is interesting. That's okay. And he's talking, and I see his name, and I'm like, it sounds kind of familiar. I just can't put my finger on it. He tells me they're playing at Republic, and I was thinking, really? That's a pretty big, like, when? And he tells me, oh yeah, it's tomorrow night or Friday night, whatever it was, a few days later. And I was like, all right, cool, well, I'll see you in a couple days. He's like, yeah, cool, thanks for the moped. He leaves. And I was thinking, dude, wait, Saturday? Gary Clark Jr. is playing Saturday. I had wanted to go, but I hadn't thought about it, and I just didn't. It was like $70 or something, the ticket I wanted. I was like, I don't really know. But one of my good friends, my best friends, Mike, was like, he called me the next day. I was like, hey, do you want to go see a concert tonight? I was like, where? And he said, Republic. I was like, oh, Gary Clark Jr. is playing Republic tonight. And he was like, oh yeah, you know him? I was like, dude, I love him. Yeah, I'll go. And he's like, okay, cool, I have an extra ticket. So we went, and I saw this guy there outside of soundcheck and said hello. I was like,
wow,
whatever. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, but he was the lead guitar player for Gary Clark Jr. They come out on the stage, and I was looking at him like, no way. That's where I recognized him from. I've seen him on stage before. Okay, so.
I need to be with you.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. Yeah, I need
to go with you.
That was really crazy.
Yeah,
fun times.
Yeah. Can you recall what was the first instrument you picked up?
Technically, I guess it would be the recorder. Does everybody remember those?
Yes. Oh my god.
The little plastic flute thing.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
I think I learned how to play
hot cross buns.
Hot cross buns or something like that. Yeah. No. That's technically that was still the first instrument I ever picked up. And no, I don't still practice or play that one. I've since
moved on.
I've since retired from from the recorder.
I think recorder was like my first instrument.
Yeah,
but
right,
then
right.
the thing about me was confusing is everybody was going way ahead of me. Like they were like getting the grasp of like playing a recorder. But me, I'm like kind of a late bloomer, so I'm just like just faking it till I'm making it kind of thing. And then I remember my teacher, she was like, "Hey, you know, we're gonna like do like a small presentation.
Right.
It'd be like, you know, like play hot cross buns." And I'm just like, crap, what do? I don't know what to do. And I'm just,
wait, me? You want me to play this?
So I kind of just like.
Yeah. I think I remember a couple times humming into it instead of like, I don't know if I'm hitting the right note. I know what it sounds like. I'm just going to hum the note instead. I wonder if they'll know the difference.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the teacher was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, this didn't go well. No.
Next.
I can't imagine being like those music teachers. They had to sit through a bunch of kids playing recorder poorly over and over and over for like days, months, semesters. You know what I mean? It's
I think
crazy.
The next one for me was the pan flute. I'm just like,
ooh, the pan flute's cool. The pan flute's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. Have you ever been to Peru before?
Never.
Seems like Peru, like the pan flute is a huge part of like the native music, or like the traditional music of Peru. So I feel like you go to any like restaurant or hotel or whatever lobby, and you're sitting around and you'll hear a song and you're thinking, I know the song. What is it? I can't put my finger on it, because they're playing like the most popular songs ever, but just on a pan flute. And so you're like, did I just hear Thriller? Pan flute? Thriller? This is crazy. Like, it's just, and you're like, I know this, I know the song. What is it? Oh, it's a pan flute version of Thriller. That's what it is. So
that's impressive.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. But pan flute, pan flute is a cool one. It's a cool one.
Have you ever played like even just a triangle or like?
Not seriously. I think there had to be like some sort of musical production in church or something when I was a kid where I like. Bang.
Have you ever like what was like an instrument like you tried that you were like impressed or like or
the first time I picked up a bass.
Really?
That was
like a guitar?
I thought it was cool because, and actually the origin story I guess you'd say for that is one of my first best friend I ever had. We were like 4 years old. We were like, or 4 or 5 years old. We were like in kindergarten when we met. From a very small town, so like there was like grass and cows everywhere. And on the other side of one of these fields, there was another street where this guy lived. And so you just become friends, right? Because we're the only two guys around. We're gonna ride on bikes together. We're gonna throw mud at each other. You just do what you do when you're like 5 years old. You know what I mean? So as we got older, I know he wanted to like start a band or something, and we were like 12. And he was like, let's do that. But he wanted to play guitar, and I was going to play bass. This was his idea. Yes. And I realized in hindsight, it was like, oh, I know what it is. The lead guitar player is like the cool guy. No one ever talks to the bass player. You know what I mean? It was all about like he was trying to get the girls or whatever, and I was just like, yeah, it's cool. I'm down to play music. This is awesome. So we basically asked our parents that year to get us guitars for Christmas, and so they did. His parents got him his guitar. They actually went together and picked out our guitars for us, and then sure enough, Christmas came around, and then I had a bass, he had a guitar, and then we, it didn't work out. Our band was not good. We were like 12, you know what I mean? Yeah. With no formal training, we were just making noise. We were playing anywhere people would let us, and those places dwindled pretty quickly because people were like, oh, we don't want to hear this. This is loud.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, like, growing up too, like, for some reason, my parents gave me a drum set. I think they kind of knew in hindsight that I would, like, be, like, maybe years later starting a band.
They knew you were chaotic.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I was really timid. I'm such a timid, like, person. Like, I'm shy.
Well, I know.
And then...
That's strange thinking about. Yeah.
And so I would just be, like, weak, just play like the cymbals, just like and just make it like a weird like rhythm.
Someone's like, look, you have to hit that crash cymbal. You can't just
literally, yeah. And then I would go to school, and my conductor would be like, you need to like hit the drum. Like,
wait, what about the kick drum?
Yeah, so that's
one that people I feel like are always timid with when they first get on the drum kits. Like, no, we need some bass. You need to kick that thing.
I was really concerned about the neighbors. That's why I was like really like playing meekly.
She's so considerate.
I was like,
that's something you could have told my first band. Yeah. Guys, think about the neighbors. Think about what you're doing to them.
My conductor was like, because they assigned me to timpani, so that in orchestra.
Oh yeah, right.
So
Timpani's cool.
Timpani is very cool.
Make some cool sounds with it.
Oh my gosh, I was so intimidated by this because the sound that it makes is like just,
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning.
It can be really big.
Yeah.
It's a big sound.
And so
a
you have to
room-filling sound.
build it up, and my conductor was like saying like, I don't care if you are like hurting, like he's like just hit the drum, and I'm like,
right.
He literally had to go over and then just be like.
Yeah, right.
And I was just
have to show you this is
power.
The
power, yeah.
To smash this thing, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Pretty much.
Right.
Has your taste or inspiration for music changed, or like did you find your sound?
That's a good question. I don't know that what's a good way to word it? There are certain people that like think about like the most legendary musicians. You can like I can turn on an album. Most people can. If I turn on an album, within the first like 3 notes, I'm like, oh, this is Stevie Ray Vaughan. Okay, like say for instance, Stevie Ray Vaughan covers Jimi Hendrix songs, right? And so some people are like, oh, which version is this? Usually within like the first 2 notes, I'm like, that's the sound. That's Stevie. That's his version, right? And I think just because people do find that tone that like works for them. Mm-hmm. As far as my inspirations, I feel like they just get broader over time because like I get into different stuff, but then also I find myself listening to like a playlist that I've recreated now, but it's like all the songs I listened to when I was like 13. I just go back to that every now and then, you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe like a nostalgia thing, but like I feel like I guess another thing is too what has changed is that so when I first started playing instruments I was playing bass, but then I started playing guitar after that for like years. It was not until like the last couple years that I picked up the bass again. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of forced me to kind of look at music in a different way. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm playing a lot of bass, I'm listening to a certain type of music a lot, right? Whereas if I'm playing a lot of guitar, I'm listening to kind of a different kind of music, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm focusing on different things. So I feel like with bass and then playing live shows and recording and stuff, mm-hmm. you start to look at it a little bit differently because bass is much more of a toward the back of the band kind of thing. Yeah, it's supposed to be the bridge kind of between the drummer and the rest of the guys. You're trying to hold a time, but also bringing in some of the melody and stuff like that. So it's a different approach, and it's been good because it feels like it. If you can switch around a lot, it feels like it can make you a much more well-rounded musician. I feel like so that's been helpful, and I guess I just kind of went on a tangent there. Has my inspiration changed? Like I said, it just depends on what I'm listening to at the moment, like what's going on.
And can you tell us, how did Rhiana and the Texans
come to be? So that's funny. So Rhiana I had met some years back. She was visiting, and then she left, and then she came back, and then she has an apartment here, or one of her old apartments she used to have here. She's written so much music, Rhiana. She's got like archives of music. Like she never stops writing. She's got to be like one of the hardest working people in like in music in Hawaii. But she had a song, and she was asking, just casually mentioning to me that she didn't have a bass line for this particular song or whatever. And I was like, well, I mean, I have a bass at my house. She was like, all right. So I go over and I record a couple things, and she's like, oh, that sounds pretty good. So, all right. And then she says, well, do you want to play an open mic night this week? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. So
just like that?
Yeah, like, why not? I mean, it's just an open mic. It's nothing too serious, right? So we go, we play, and then she tells me, she's like, I know a drummer, he's also from Texas too. I was like, oh, that's interesting. What a coincidence. It's like, he's really good. I should bring him around. I was like, yeah, I'd love to meet him. So she brings him around. The following week, we play another open mic with him, right? So at this point, the people running the show pass out a sign-up sheet. You need to sign up whatever your act is so we know who you are, whatever. So Rhiana just jokingly writes Rhiana and the Texans because it's just her and 2 Texan guys, and we don't think anything of it. We just want to play some music, so we do. And then afterward, not long after, people were offering us chances to play live shows.
That's awesome.
And so I was like, well, I guess we have to stick with this for now, write it out. And since then, we've been kind of still going with it. So it's been going, yeah.
Nice.
And we were actually, the funny thing was too, there's a couple other guys that I had met. Our guitar player, Tyler, I had met him. Yeah, you know Tyler. Yeah. Tyler's such a sweetheart. I had met him 4 years ago or so as well. And then like a year later, before I'd ever played anything with Rhiana, it was Halloween, and he was having a Halloween party at his house, and there's a bunch of musicians that were coming over, and everybody was just gonna play in the living room. He had a big, spacious living room in Palolo. It was so awesome. But anyway, so I go there, and he goes, actually, on your way here, can you pick up my friend Brian? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I go over to a different valley to pick up Brian. His keyboard barely fits in my car. I have a little tiny island beater. Keyboard's hanging out the window. We like put a towel on it just in case it rains. We just make it as quick as we can over to Tyler's house. We get there, Brian starts playing, and I'm thinking, dude, this is like the best musician I've ever played with in my life. He's like a classical and jazz piano instructor. Like he's just crazy good. And I was like, this is crazy. Like this guy's awesome, right? And Tyler's good friends with them, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. So then after me, Rhiana, and Micah, our drummer, we played a couple open mic nights, whatever. We started getting to where we wanted to play a show, and we said we need to find someone. And one day, Rhiana, I remember I was at Best Buy in Waipahu, and Rhiana calls and is like, oh, you remember that guy we were talking about, Brian? Like he wants to come jam with us tomorrow. And I was like, no way. Like the guy we've been talking about, that guy, like is he serious? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I mean, we both had a lot of drinks last night, but like I'm pretty sure he's serious. And I was like, well, we'll see. And so sure enough, he shows up the next day and he jams, and it was like perfect. So he came, and then not long after that, we realized we needed probably another guitar or something to fill out the sound. Also give Rhiana a chance to focus more on her vocal melodies and things like that. It would really help to have another guitar player. And so the obvious choice was, well, what do you think Tyler's doing?
Yeah.
And now he's in. So
such a
I guess
cool
that's the long and short of it, I guess. Yeah.
The rundown. Yeah. Have you come, like, as a bandmate, what are like some of the challenges that you guys have, like, you know, like
I would say the main thing is time management. Everybody's so busy all the time.
It's
and
the hustle and bustle.
Yeah, it's the hustle of it all. We'll say, like, for instance, like I said, Rhiana's got to be like one of the hardest working people in like show business, right? In Hawaii. She's always doing something. She's always trying to get more gigs here, or promote here, or blah, blah, blah. That she's running around constantly. Like, I don't even know that she actually sleeps. I'm not sure if she does. I have to ask her. I'm not sure if she does. Yeah, she closes her eyes real quick and then opens them, and then we have a show. So she's doing that, but like I think for most of us, it's being able to get people together for rehearsals and things like that and whatnot. As far as tech problems, I guess everybody has them every now and then. Something you get on stage and something doesn't work or whatever. But
have you ever broken a string?
Luckily on bass strings, they're pretty tough to break. Guitar strings, you break them sometimes. You know what I mean? Bass strings, if you break a bass string, man, you got some serious power.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Also, if that thing flies across the room, it's gonna knock a head off or two. So you don't want to, do that. But
do you guys have like any pre-show rituals, like the
pre-show ritual?
Little cheers.
Superstition.
I would say like most of us know. I mean,
Like-
one thing we do try to do, like we'll do sound check and everything, and then most of us will try to like get dinner together or something. Because usually between sound check and when we actually play is at least a couple hours or 2 or 3 hours or whatever. And those, a lot of times there'll be somebody playing before us as well. So what we try to do is like get some food, maybe a beer or something, and then try to be back for the other bands that are there to support, because we want to support them as well. So yeah, I would say the big part of his dinner. Also, Brian is like, he doesn't eat like non-quality food.
Oh.
Like if you say let's just go get a hot dog, he's like, no, that's not what we're doing here. We're going. He's got a select few places in rotation that, depending on where we're playing that night, I have a feeling I know where he's gonna want to go. And I'm like, all right, that's good, because he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And so whenever he decides on some food, I'm like, yeah, I think I can rest assured this is gonna be a pleasant experience. So, I guess like dinner is usually kind of the thing.
What was it like going to like a radio station?
The radio station. So
you were on a college radio station lately, recently.
Yeah. We were on KTUH. It's the radio station here in Manoa, where it's part of the University of Hawaii radio station. Yeah. We went there to do an interview. We played a full live set actually on the air, which was really cool as well.
Cool.
As far as experience goes, coming into it, they said, by the way, shout out to KTUH for having us. That was really cool. We really appreciate it. But yeah, it was cool because they said before that we could only bring like 3 people or something because the studio was small, and we were like, well, I mean, we'll see if we can make it work. And
is it smaller than this?
Rihanna talked to him a little bit. Yeah, it's bigger than this room. Rihanna was talking to him about bringing a 4th, you know what I mean? And they were like, okay, I guess. And then we're like, well, they said no drum, we can't bring a whole drum kit or whatever. So we're like, well, can Micah come? So we worked it out, and then like maybe he'll play on a cajon. I don't know if you know what a cajon is. It's like the little wooden box thing you sit on. He was gonna play on one of those, and then last minute they called us and they're like, all right, 2 things. Like, you're gonna be here in like an hour or 2, we know, but first thing first, bring a hoodie. It's very cold in here. And we were like, yeah, we'll probably be all right. The next thing was like, we just put a drum kit together. Like, we have one in here. Like, so if you want your, and we were like, no way, dude. So again, another shout out to KTUH. Thank you very much for that. That was so clutch to be able to have the full band in there and also the full kit. And everything sounded good too. Nice. Who would have expected the guys at a radio station to be great with sound? They were good. They were very good. So thanks again for that, KTUH. But yeah, the show went good, and then we played a full live set, and then they did an interview with us live in the studio as well. And
was that like your first ever like being in a radio station, or
first time in a radio station? For that, I think yes, yeah. When I was in college, I took some communications classes where I had to spend time in the radio station, like for whatever reason they taught us how to splice tape. You know how everything is digitally edited now.
Yeah.
This was like in the 2012 time period. Like, things were already digital. I don't know why they were like, yeah, you should learn how to splice tape. So we spent a lot of time in the studio actually manually cutting and splicing tape with a razor blade. And
what?
Yeah, it was crazy. So I spent quite a bit of time in the radio station then, so I kind of saw how things worked, and we practiced on like doing some recordings and things like that. But as far as like being live on the air and playing a set, yeah, I'd never done that before. I don't know that any of us actually had. I think that might have been a first for.
Were you guys like nervous or like jittery?
Not particularly. I don't think. The interview was first, and then we went to go play afterward. And I mean, we've played all these songs so many times. It was a little bit different, like not having a crowd to talk to or anybody.
Just like right now.
In a room.
Just like right now.
Right, but it was strange because like the guys in the booth had the headphones on. They're like, "So you ready to play?" And I'm like, "Who said that?" Guys, what song? So we ended up having to write a set list out and everything, just like we would normally do on stage. But yeah, it was interesting being in a room like that. It was cold, but that was nice because it was like sometimes on the stage you're just like sweaty and it can be unpleasant sometimes. But I was like, this is nice. I don't mind being cold in here. Plus, it was getting kind of late at night, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to fall asleep. Let's get some cold AC in here.
So you mentioned that you've been performing in like live performances, you know,
around the area.
Yeah, around the area. What was it like performing in like the biggest like venue? In my opinion, I think, like, because when you say Hawaii State Art Museum, it's like
Hawaii State Art Museum.
It's like
that.
It's a big thing.
Was such a fun show. Like, that was crazy. That is a good time for me to also plug the band Instagram, because you want to see some cool pictures. Rhiana And The Texans on IG. There's some pretty cool pictures of it. We had spoken to them a couple times. I'd actually been there once before to see one of Rihanna's friends, a guy named DeShannon. I don't know if he's watching or not right now. He's an excellent musician, like ridiculous. So, like, crazy good. So, one time Rhianna said that she was going to go see DeShannon play at the Art Museum and asked if I wanted to come. And I was like, sure. It was the Honolulu Jazz Quartet. And I was like, all right, let's go check that out. And we went, and I was like, these guys are incredible. Like, these are top of the top musicians, right? And the setup is so cool. If you've never been to the Art Museum there, it's so just cool. Beautifully set up, right? The acoustics are actually really good too, especially for being an outdoor arena. It's really cool. So I'd seen them play, and then some months had gone by, and she said, I think we're gonna get a show there. And I was like, wait, like what? Where we saw those last guys play, like that's gonna be crazy. So eventually it did actually work out, and it was it was crazy.
I saw the pictures.
It was a really fun time.
My friend was there. I think Cindy was there. She was like, it's a big thing. And
right.
I was like so happy for you guys. I was like, dude, they killed it at the Art Museum.
Right. No, that was thank you.
I know. I just like. It
was fun.
I was like low key jealous. It's like, I wish I was there.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Busy.
Also, shout out the Elevations. It's another band, the Elevations Hawaii. Look them up. Super cool, big band, a lot of them too. Super nice people. That's who played with us there. They'll be performing more shows in the area as well. We've been talking to them about playing more in the future. So, but they're super cool. So shout out to them as well. That was such a rad show, and they had all the kids dancing and stuff because they play a lot of really cool tunes. Some covers as well that are like meant to get people dancing, and it worked. Like everybody there nobody was in their seats. It was really nice. It was
Were
really
you
cool.
Nervous playing in the art museum or?
I guess I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like anytime you get on stage, especially like the first couple times, there's a little bit of nerves there. Mm-hmm. I think you always kind of have them, but then, like for me, I just like to focus on like providing a good show. Mm-hmm. Like if I can put on a good show, like everything else kind of becomes secondary. Mm-hmm. And then when you just look around at your bandmates and stuff, and you're if you're glued in, you're paying attention to what you're supposed to be doing, then you don't really have time to think too much about what's going on out in the crowd as much. I feel like so. But the art museum was definitely, I was like, this is, because in sound check it's broad daylight.
Yeah.
There's nobody around. It's just a couple people moving some amps and equipment and stuff. And then we went into the green room, hung out, had some food, talked to the elevations, had a beer or two, and then we come out. And now it's nighttime, and now everybody's in there. And I was like, "Oh, okay," you know.
Game faces.
Yeah.
But it was super fun. And again, thanks Hawaii State Art Museum for having us. Yeah,
I
it's
remember
fantastic.
going there as a kid, and it just blows my mind again.
Yeah,
you guys like ever performed in the?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like that.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah.
So tell us, what is like the writing process like with like new music? Do you guys set like foundation, sheet music? What do you guys do?
So as far as that goes, like we have to give all the credit to Rhiana. Like she's a writing machine. Like I said, she never stops. So a lot of times she's got so many ideas already when it comes to like lyrics, chord progressions, all sorts of stuff. Basically, how it works in the studio is that somebody will present some new song, whatever they have, and people will kind of work on it. But a lot of the times, especially like with Rhiana's music, she'll come in the studio and say like, "This is what I'm thinking. Let me play it for you guys." And she'll play her part, and we'll all just listen, and then we'll just build something around it. You know what I mean? This is the chord progression. These are the lyrics. This is what she wants the melody to sound like. And then also a couple ideas on like, well, how do you want to take this one? Because in the beginning, especially when there was just three of us, or just before we had everybody together, it was like, we don't really know what kind of genre this is going to be. Like, this is just a chord progression. This is kind of how we feel it goes. But I feel like now we've got, like when I listen to all of our songs in a row, I'm like, you can tell that there's a cohesive sound. Like, we have a sound now. So now I think we look at it in terms of what each of us can bring to that, that fits within our sound, right? So like, I'll come up with a bass line for something she wrote, and if she likes it, we keep it. If she doesn't, then I'll just go back to the drawing board and try something else. Because I mean, at the end of the day, too, especially we want to respect like the songwriter, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're doing one of Rhiana's songs, then this is like one of her babies, right? Yeah. So if she doesn't like what you wrote for, then you got to figure out something she does like, because you know what I mean. And I think everyone has like kind of a mutual respect for each other. If you're going to bring something to the table, you want to try to recreate it the way you like it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's basically how that works, I think. Yeah.
Do you guys write like, when you do your bass lines, do you go like notes wise, or do you do just by like?
Yeah, notes wise, like say for instance, she'll tell me like, we'll be looking at it and she's playing like say C, E flat, and F sharp minor or something like that at a certain tempo. Then I'll walk around and see where I want to play it, if I want to take a higher register or a lower register, what the tempo is going to be like, what kind of, because a lot of the bass is going to kind of in a lot of ways determine the genre sometimes, because you could put a reggae bass line on anything really, which is not really what we do, but like you could change things up like that. So basically it's just, I'll look at it and see what the notes are, and then I'll just write it down if we like it, and then we'll keep it for later. Especially with the new songs. New songs we'll play in the studio a few times before we ever bring them out to a live performance. Yeah, and sometimes too I'm thinking about it. I think we all do this. We'll be thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I could do that one better. Yeah. So like I'll be at home, like laying in bed, and I'm like, you know what? Let me write this down. I'll get up and just like see what this sounds like first. Yeah, we'll try that. I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Next time we're in the studio, I'll play it that way and see if that's better or whatever. So there's a lot of that
happens. Do you constantly think like music, like throughout your day, or like in terms
That's a
of
good
like
question.
notes? Like,
That's a good question.
I was gonna ask
Probably.
I was gonna ask you like a weird one. Like, do you get like a good, or like, do you like how you say, you know how to say you would like make, or you would create some music like when you're showering or anything like that? I don't know.
Do I create
driving?
Do I create music when I'm showering?
Yeah.
I mean, can't say that on a podcast.
No,
No,
like,
I'm kidding.
Do you create like music or harmonies in your head?
Yeah, I think all the time, humming things like. Also, a lot of times what I'll try to do is try to mimic Rhianna's vocal harmony on bass in some situations where it calls for it. So sometimes I'm thinking about what she does with her voice, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I did this part, if I just focused more on harmonizing with her voice as opposed to driving the overall rhythm on this particular part, and then just kind of how it works. Like there's some songs where it's like, well, it's going to be the guitar player's job to do this, and there's some places where it's like, well, you should probably step up on that part. So it just kind of depends on the song. But yeah, I am, now that you mentioned it, I am thinking about music pretty constantly. You know what I mean? No, and then every now and then I'm driving around for work and someone's like, hey, can you play that song that you guys got on Spotify? I was like, oh, okay, I'll listen to it again. I'll play it. And then,
do you have like a notebook for these things?
Yeah, I think we all have a few different notebooks. Yeah. I need to consolidate them. I just have stuff written in random places. I'm like, where is this? What is this doing? You know, I keep one like notepad in my gig bag, like the bag that has my bass in it, because I know, and like a couple of necessities in there, like a tuner, instrument cable, stuff like that in the bag just in case. And then that little journal is always in there too. And then sometimes if like say Rhianna's got new songs, sometimes she'll print out like some sheet music or something. So I keep that in the bag as well, so that I, you know, if we have to revisit it, I have everything right there.
You're giving me like band flashbacks, because I was like that person, like used to be that person in school that would make fun of me, like, oh, you play drums, because I have like drumsticks.
But drums are cool.
Drumsticks sticking out of my bag, and then they would literally like take it, and I'd be like, give it back, like, oh my god.
Yeah, those people are just turds.
But then it was true, like I would just have like music, like sheet music, just like stuffed in my bag, like my binder and everything.
Yeah, but drums are cool.
They are. And I had pretty.
I thought you were gonna say in your recorder days they were still in your recorder. I was like, let them keep it, man. The thing is, just plug up the holes and turn it into a snorkel or something. You don't need it.
I had like the flashiest drumsticks ever. It was like holographic.
What?
It was like pink at the bottom.
Like the Vic Firth sparkly, like.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't Vic Firth. It was I can't say this name for the life of me.
Zildjian?
Yeah.
There
you go.
Zildjian is another good one.
And then it was like pink at the bottom and just slowly like did an ambient gradient. Like, like all the way to the top.
Even the animation,
motion. Yeah, it was really cool. To this day, I still look for like the drumsticks, because it just gives me flashbacks. But yeah.
Right.
Gosh.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Is there any like upcoming shows, projects in the works? You can like give us a little tease.
Upcoming shows. So we're always working on things. We got a couple. We'll be playing at the Aloha Farmers Market on Sunday the 30th.
Oh my gosh. That's like another big thing.
It's like about a week from now. Yeah. It's a different format than we're used to playing, I think, but it's a great opportunity, because I mean, I think all of us, I can speak for all of us, we all like farmers markets a lot. So yeah, I know. And I'm gonna be eating some food while I'm there for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I mean, it's always like, think about it, the weather's most likely the weather's gonna be beautiful, and so we're gonna be outside, which is also a good thing. Playing a daytime show, which is cool. We haven't done that in a long time, so that's that. As far as, and we have other shows coming. Like I said, just tune into the Instagram, Rhiana And The Texans on IG. We'll keep you posted. There's always posting stories on there about our upcoming stuff. You guys heard earlier the original single that we released on Spotify. That was Rhianna doing her an acoustic version of Every Single Time, which is our first single that we released on Spotify. We got another one coming out, and I think we might be able to give you a little sneak peek. This is a performance from our most recent show at Slack Key Lounge, Hawaiian Brian's. A nice young fella named Dash and Dave filmed a lot of our stuff, and then and then sent us a lot of the videos, and I was like, man, this is pretty good, especially for, I think he just filmed it on a phone or something like that. So little sneak peek of this is a live version of a song that we're going to be, it's already in distribution right now, so hopefully pretty soon. Yay. We'll keep you posted. Stay on the Instagram. We'll keep you posted when it comes out.
All right, and here we go.
2, 3, 4.
I am a sucker for the drums. The first thing I do all the time is drums, because I'm such a drummer.
Yeah.
I listen to drums.
And Micah's really good.
Amazing.
Looking for a high, looking for a low. Got a reason, mine, and my heart is low.
I like how you're doing your bass piece too. I'm just trying to hear the drums.
Yeah.
Let me go. Let me go. Never 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 let me go.
Yeah, she's got incredible range. She's very, very talented. Yeah. So yeah, so that's a little bit of a teaser. Got to hear that intro. I really like the intro
Wait for it to
too.
come
Yeah,
out.
it's already recorded, mixed, mastered. It's in distribution now, so we'll see. Hopefully pretty soon.
Yes.
Hopefully in a week or so. We'll see.
I
But
love this.
yeah.
I love this. Thank you so much for being my
Yeah.
first guest.
No problem. No
Oh my
problem.
gosh,
Hope it.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was
Thank
good
you
for
so
me.
much.
So this was our first attempt at this podcasting. We don't know what we're doing still, but we're thankful that CJ's here
I know.
to make us feel comfortable. So we're trying to do it every
Yeah.
week for Aloha Friday.
This is me trying to make everyone comfortable here.
Yes.
This is my first PARiTY podcast also.
Yeah, everybody's.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
welcome
Thanks,
back
CJ.
anytime.
Oh, make sure you follow the Instagram, guys.
Yeah,
Make
it's
sure
gonna be
Rhiana And The Texans Instagram. We're gonna post it up here somewhere.
Yeah, and in the description below, so make sure you
In the
guys check that out as
description below.
well.
Check us out on Spotify, Instagram. Stay in tune, especially if you're in Oahu.
Yes.
Check
come
us out.
support them. Yes. Yes. All right. So
And-
thanks, guys. We'll
Wait.
see.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
She's nervous. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yes. If you like this video, please give us a like, comment, subscribe, as well as hitting the notification button.
And see you in the next
See you
one.
in the next
Notification
one.
bun?
Button.
Oh, button.
Bye.
It's like I thought it was a bell this whole time. It's a bun? I didn't.